Hey, what's up, guys? It's the Pretty Boy Offense. My name's Saj, and we're going to talk about the two games that I love this week and the two games that I hate this week for NFL Survivor, week 7 of the NFL season. I normally do 3 games I love, 3 games I hate, but because of all the buys this week, without touching on the obvious games like the Rams over Lions, which is an obvious love the Rams, or Cardinals over Texans, obviously love the Cardinals in that game. I thought I'd go with I thought I'd just minimize the amount of games I'm picking for the love-hate segment and just give you a bit more insight on some of these closer matchups because you guys don't need me to tell you I think the Packers are going to beat Washington, right? So let's just start with the games that I love. And the one game that I do love is Patriots over Jets. Now, I think the Jets are playing better this year, but they're just not good, and they're still just not at that level. And competent coaching is always just going to, be a deciding factor in a lot of these games. And when that coach is Bill Belichick and the coach he's going against is, Robert Saleh, then that's, not a good recipe for success for the Jets. They're still learning. They haven't really had that moment where they found their stride, like Trevor Lawrence did with the Jaguars this past week. They had the win against the Titans, but then they went back down to doing the bad things that they do. So the Jets, there's no faith right now in that team or anybody on that field. And we're looking for the Jets, to actually just make some strides to show that they are a better football team. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to show it in the wins columns. They might just have better stats, less turnovers and stuff. But yeah. And then in terms of the Patriots, they had a really close one with Dallas. This team is clearly up for a good fight. They manage the clock well. They do a lot of smart things, and a lot of credit to Mac Jones for being able to execute all those things. Dinking and dunking his way down the field. He hardly ever throws it down the field. They incrementally just matriculate their way down. The problem with the Patriots, I can understand why people are scared right now of maybe going all in, is just that we don't see the pull away that you would like in these good teams. You see the Cardinals pull away from teams. They'll go up 14 points and then never let off the gas. The Patriots have had moments where they're up 10 points and stuff like that, but they never really pull away. The other team's always kind of within striking distance, 2-possession striking distance. And that's always something hard to, swallow when you really want to find these diamonds in the rough in Survivor and get these weeks where it's a comfortable win. And the closest the Patriots, I think, will ever get to a comfortable win in the season is against the Jets. So I'm really comfortable, and I love the idea of taking the Patriots against this New York Jets team. This is the last time you could do this as well. They've already played the Jets earlier, and I actually used one of my Survivor picks earlier this year on the Patriots. So, that I'm all in favor of taking a well-coached, decently talented team against a bad team. So I love the Patriots over Jets. And just another thing to keep in mind is the Patriots are kind of sneakily still going to keep themselves in consideration for trying to get into playoffs. So they'll be playing competitive football for all of the year. The Jets will have to figure out what they're doing personnel wise with when they start saving players, putting guys on IR and stuff like that. The Pats will be I think competing for a spot. So all right, the other game that I love is Raiders versus Eagles. So I've been very vocal about how much I think the Eagles are a bad team. I don't think it's a matter of just the quarterback. I think a lot of aspects of their team are lacking, especially linebacker, which I made a comment of before, and especially in this matchup. But they're underperforming. They're aging too at all the wrong places. Their O-line, their D-line and stuff. And that makes it a really nice matchup for Derek Carr and the Raiders. So now a couple weeks ago, or last week when Gruden got fired or he left, there was a big question mark around the Raiders on what would happen with this team, how would they bounce back? Because I've seen that happen to teams mid-season, firings of coaches kind of derails the team. But Derek Carr played well, and they were able to win that game. So I have the fact that they were able to rebound like that so quickly gives me faith that if this was almost any other opponent, I would probably stay away from this game. But with it being the Eagles, a team I think is a top 3 worst team in the league, then I'm so comfortable taking the Raiders. Derek Carr went back to playing absolutely great football in his last game after a little bit of a hiccup there. And, that's exactly what you want to see. You want Derek Carr to be doing what Derek Carr was doing at the beginning of the year when he was up there with Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, and stuff in that MVP conversation. This is the best I've ever seen Derek Carr play, and the weapon that he loves the most is Darren Waller, and Darren Waller, the tight end, matches up great against linebackers, any linebacker in this league. So when you go against the Eagles, who don't have like any quality linebackers, it's just the recipe for success is there. The Raiders just have to execute it, which I think they will. I think when you get a special teams coordinator become the new head coach, he's going to keep the game plan as simple as he can, as efficient as he can, and he's not going to be the reason they lose games. So he's going to be calling the plays that make sense, which I think a lot of coaches kind of coach themselves out of victories or coach themselves out of good situations. But this, when you have an interim replacement, kind of like when Bruce Arians came in with the Colts and stuff, he was not going to be the reason they lose games. He was going to keep, going for it. And it's also like an audition for jobs, right? People will have eyes on these coaches that are in Las Vegas right now for like jobs next year, because they probably end up cleaning house, because these were all Gruden guys. It just would have been an absolute shit show if they fired everybody, and it's impossible. You need coaches for an NFL team. So yeah, the other thing is the Raiders have Max Crosby playing great. Their D-line's playing well. Like Farrell is still like a bust, but hey, whatever. And the Eagles' O-line is probably just as bad as Derek Carr's O-line. Derek Carr is one of the worst O-lines in the NFL, but he's still playing well. The Eagles have one of the worst O-lines in the NFL, and they have Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts, like I said, pads stats, makes it look like games are close, but they're never really in contention in a lot of games. It's always like third, fourth quarter scrambles that he kind of puts up a few points, makes the scoreboard look a little better. And yeah, he's got that athletic talent, but as a passer and stuff, decision making and all that, he's not there. So yeah, this is probably as close as we can get to a good team, bad team situation while we're in the love and hate segment. I mean, the best good team, bad teams, like I said, Cardinals, Texans, Rams, Lions. But yeah, so those are the two games I love. And now we're going to move on to the games that I hate. And there are a lot of games that I hate this week. And I think it's because of some more narrative-driven things. And I'm going to start off with the Dolphins versus Falcons. So now, prior to like this video, I had mentioned that I was like, you know what, I expect the Dolphins to win. But the rumors for Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins have gotten so popular and like vocal from like beat reporters from a few teams involved in trade speculation that it's clearly substantial. There's clearly something there. And it got to the point where Brian Flores had to mention something in a press conference today saying Tua is our quarterback. The minute you ever have to come out and address the state of your quarterback room and who your starter is, and with regards to rumors and stuff like that, is never a good situation for a locker room. Tua is already kind of walking a tightrope with being the starter in Miami. Not even necessarily with the injuries and stuff, but just his performances haven't been what Miami's wanted out of that quarterback. And now you have the team like answering questions about, is he the quarterback of the future? You're caught up in these Deshaun Watson things. His confidence is going to be low, or maybe he's going to come out and just try and prove everybody wrong. But either way, this is a real situation, and I don't want to be betting on the side of, this Tua guy comes out and he's trying and then he fails and he tries to do too much and he fails as well. Like, I'd rather in an actual NFL setting, like, yeah, I would love my quarterback to come out and try and prove people wrong. From a survivor betting standpoint, I don't know what that's going to do to the Dolphins. And then on the flip side, that the Falcons, they must smell blood in the water, and they got to feel, oh, well, we probably weren't in this game to start, but right now I think we can probably capitalize on this team that's just down on their luck, caught up with the headlines, caught up with the narratives. We're 2 days out from the game, and they're trying to answer questions about these trade rumors. Yeah, the Falcons are definitely going to, be getting real excited for this game. So because of that narrative, I don't want to touch this game at all. So Dolphins, Falcons, that give me none of that. All right, and then the next game is the Panthers, Giants. I was going to go with Ravens, Bengals here, but I think like the injuries and stuff in that game are kind of self-explanatory. And I also kind of talked about how I do have a lot of confidence in the Ravens defense to still like stifle Joe Burrow. So something that's a little more relevant, I think, if you're looking to save some of those big teams like the Ravens and stuff like that, is the Panthers versus Giants. And I think it's just because we're waiting to see what Sam Darnold shows up every week. I think in this game, it's going to be pretty clear that the Sam Darnold we all expect is the good Sam Darnold, the first 3 weeks of the season Sam Darnold, right? where he was not throwing interceptions, where he had a good rapport with his wide receivers. He was tossing it all around, scrambling for touchdowns as well. He was leading the league for running touchdowns for a few weeks there. But now we have a Giants team that still without Galladay. We're still waiting for the Tony news and stuff like that. But if Daniel Jones, and this is the same thing with Daniel Jones, if he can come back to being the Daniel Jones that was receiver-proof with all those injuries from earlier in the year, we might have a gun show here, and it might just end up being who has the ball last, the last possession, who can score. But again, it's just both these teams have been such coin flips that the last thing you want to do is bet on the team, and that it's one of the weeks where they don't turn up. And I know it's not really like statistically sound. I know it's not really like personnel like decided, but the NFL is very much a rhythm league. Teams get hot, teams get cold, and teams like start like on trends as well. And with both these teams starting the league, I shouldn't say the Giants started hot, but Daniel Jones played hot. The Panthers actually started hot. Now that they're actually both kind of on the come down, they're both working their way back up. Who's going to be the team that turns it on? Because this is the game. I think if the Panthers are looking at the Giants, they think this is a winnable game. The Giants look at the Panthers and they say, hey, this is a winnable game as well, right? And even though the Giants defense is worth, I think Sam Darnold at his worst, neutralizes whatever difference that there might be in their defense. So like you could put a high school defense out there. Sam Darnold's playing bad. He's going to throw it right to those, cornerbacks and stuff. So just that volatility and stuff like that is just why I hate this game. And I do think the Panthers, are a better team, but it's going to come down to who can pressure the QB more. And sometimes Sam Darnold feels pressure when there isn't even pressure there. So yeah, I get scared when I look at this game because I really think it could go either way. And for the sake of Survivor, that's a really cheeky pick for a week like this where there's so many good options. Like I mentioned, Cardinals, Rams, even Ravens. There's just all these other great options. You don't need to touch that game. One little thing I'll talk on, I really do like the Saints over the Seahawks, mostly because the Saints are relatively healthy and the Seahawks don't have a cornerback room, period. I can't even say anything funny there. It's just getting sad at this point. So Sean Payton was smart. He just let Jameis Winston throw the ball all over them. And I think that's what he'll do. So that's another game I do like a lot. But that's the Monday night game. So I understand why people want to take the Sundays and not wait all the way till Monday. Some players can't play under big lights and stuff. But yeah. All right, guys. 2 games I love, 2 games I hate. Hopefully this was helpful. I tried to stay away from the big obvious ones. If you guys want more breakdown, I did a full week breakdown yesterday, so you guys can find that video on my channel, and hopefully that helps you as well. So best of luck with your picks this week, guys. See ya.